In part 2, we are picking up from the sparge. You see us collecting the hot wort in the boiling kettle. We now have nearly 10 to 12 gallons of wort. And I'm adding the Galena hops, the bittering hops at this point. I'd like to stir it in there to make sure the hops are fully contacted by the hot wort. This will soon come to a boil. This boiled for approximately 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes, enough time to extract the bittering and isomerize the hop compounds. Here you see I've collected just under 14 gallons, about 13.5 gallons of wort, and now we see the wort having boiled with the hops inside. This has boiled for or will boil for, like I said, about 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes. I did put the immersion chiller in. At this point, this is not to cool, but mainly to sanitize the chiller in preparation for the subsequent chilling later on. See, the thermometer measures a temperature near boiling. Indeed, the temperature is probably above 212 degrees, probably a slight miscalibration of the thermometer. So we will leave this boil uncovered, importantly uncovered, because covering this would allow DMS, dimethyl sulfide, to remain and give a cooked corn type of flavor to the beer. We don't want that. Now I'm adding flavoring hops. This is about 10 minutes before knockout or termination of the boil. Again, I'll push those hops in to make sure they have good contact and allow their flavors to be extracted in the boiling wort. I do use a combination of both an immersion chiller and counterflow chiller. I find that the immersion chiller itself doesn't lower the temperature enough, nor does the counterflow, and the combination of the two are much more effective than either one alone. And again, we see the boil. It measures 211 degrees. It actually has to be 212. Or greater, given the fact that there's quite a bit of sugar dissolved in this, but it obviously is at the boiling point. Extracting the flavor of the flavor hops at this point. Now I'm getting ready to terminate the boil. I add some hops right at knockout. These are fresh Golding hops from the United Kingdom. This will add a very nice aroma to the beer. In addition, I'll add some dry hops later. I will cover this now that I start to, we'll be running the water through the chiller shortly. Now that the boil is over, we will start the chilling process. So here's cold water now being run through the immersion chiller, and you'll see shortly hot water coming from the chiller as it is heated by the wort itself. So here we saw cold water going in, and now hot water coming out from the immersion chiller, immersed in the boiling kettle. Again, I put some plastic over this just to prevent anything falling in, because this is a very critical stage where we don't want to introduce bacteria.
Star sand.
This is a sanitizer that I like to use for my fermentation vessels. It doesn't leave any flavor or taste to the beer, and it can simply be, the materials can simply be soaked, and then you don't require a rinse, which always bothers me because it might introduce more bacteria. I'm using a British ale yeast. This is what I've collected from a local brew pub, Schlafly. It's an British ale yeast, very flocking at least. You'll see that it's rather thick. It comes out rather disgusting, but it does the trick. It's a wonderful yeast for brewing special bitters, pale ales. And you see I use very generous quantities, so this is a very nice way to start off a very vigorous fermentation. So now that the yeast is in the bottom, I will be adding the chilled wort. This is coming from the counterflow chiller. I have hot water and a sterilant in there, and this is purging the dead space. And now that the wort has come through, I will then transfer that to the fermentation vessel on top of the yeast cake. I'm very willing to splash, to aerate